What's up, everybody? This is Pensive Bros Podcast. This is Aaron.
And I'm Elliot.
Hope everybody out there is having a fantastical day.
Fantastical, huh?
Yeah, something like that. So, you eat anything today?
Did I eat anything? Yeah, trash.
The only thing I've had today was an egg sandwich, and I'm gonna tell you, it was delicious.
I was about to say, was it at least good?
Yeah, got this new thing going on now where I've always liked egg sandwiches in general, but it's like one of my favorites.
Like egg only, no cheese, no mayo.
No. I mix it up, put different stuff up there, but like I really like nowadays for some reason egg, cheese, mayonnaise, honey mustard. I don't know why.
That's gross.
It's
but
delicious.
You know why I feel that way. But a good breakfast sandwich is
You
like.
don't like honey mustard?
No, ew.
I
don't
thought
like.
you
No. I have never in the history of ever liked mustard of any stripe, shape,
but
or
when we was
kind.
at Firehouse, you didn't eat honey mustard?
No, that was you, crazy.
Oh, yeah, it was definitely
It was 100% you. Now, when we had that, I will say, they had that King's Hawaiian, like, mustard sauce, though.
Yeah, I remember that, yeah.
That was fire. I will put that on some stuff, but, like, honey mustard? Nah, I'm good.
Yeah, because they would make that was the sauce for the coleslaw.
That was the sauce. That's right.
Yeah,
we would
the same
do
sauce. Yeah.
Yes, and then you also drizzle it on a sandwich. But I didn't eat the coleslaw, even though like if I was gonna eat some coleslaw, that might have been it. But it still had mayonnaise in it, so I'm like, no, I'm good on that.
Okay, so you don't eat any honey mustard?
None.
Okay. I know you don't like mustard. I know you don't like Dijon mustard.
Nah, none of that.
And I know you don't like mayonnaise.
I don't like the flavor of mustard. There's something about that spicy tang I don't mess with.
So what sauces do you like?
Barbecue sauce, ketchup, and like pretty much just about any kind of hot sauce I like.
Yeah,
I can like mess with.
Eat hot stuff if I remember.
I still eat hot stuff. I don't like tangy, and I don't like sour. And by sour I mean like it's like a funky taste.
Yeah, like
that
oil and vinegar.
Yeah, I don't like that flavor. Yeah. And what I run into a lot, Asian cuisine has a lot of those flavors because apparently they like that, and I don't care for it. Like kimchi, that's what kimchi puts me in the mind of, and that's why I don't like it. I don't like that like tangy flavor. But there are some limited exceptions. Sometimes I run into something I'm like, I don't think I would like that, and then I try it, and I'm pleasantly surprised. So
yeah, see, it's one thing that I really like, and this is something I love about being married in particular, is trying stuff that you don't think you're gonna like, and then you like it, right? So for me, I've never been into salads. Just never been into it.
Okay.
I love vegetables. I eat greens. I eat peas. I eat all different cauliflower, whatever.
Right. Yeah. But you're a veggie guy.
When I got married, like when I really started like living with Leah, getting married, and all that type of stuff, I started eating salads more often. And
because she told you to, or
because she likes salads, right? So she would eat it, and she'd be like, "Yo, you gotta try this." Like, like she'll go to Chick-fil-A and get a salad or whatever.
Oh, she'll get like random salads that you would never get.
Right. And then even eating them at home, right? Because we'll buy like the spring mix or the spinach or whatever. And, me, I'll just put...
You're right. You go do the same salad.
Like chicken, the leaves, the little...
salad mix, the
little
topper.
Salad mix with... Yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Straight
croutons.
Yes.
And then...
Like bacon bits.
For real. Ranch... or French dressing, like that was as far as I was going.
You was like an absolute bare bones, super basic salad person.
But then she's
eating school salads your whole life.
Yeah, but Halia would literally she'd go through the aisle in the shopping center and she would get
all of the
sauces.
Yeah.
And so one day I was like,
Because there are some really good salad dressings that you would never think to try. Like my favorite salad dressing is the Asian like sesame ginger.
Oh.
They
got that. You talking about at Walmart, right?
Yeah, they have it at Walmart, but they got it at a bunch of other places. Usually, you can get Newman's on it just by any store. Are you talking
about the bottle or the sauce packets that come in the salad?
Okay, so the sauce packets that come in the salad are really good.
Yes, that's the
kind that comes in the bottle though is also really good, but it's different. Okay. So like if you got a preference, then you got to go with your preference. Because I know what you're talking about, the ones that come in like the pre-made Asian salad jang where
it's
not
like a packet of little stuff.
And the good thing about the packets is it's like portioned out for you, so you're not gonna go ham on the sauce. Because that is my problem. Is I put too much. It does. Like you eat a salad, but you eat 1,400 calories in salad dressing. So, but at least if you're going with like something that's like a vinaigrette or even the Asian ginger, it tends to be better for you than like French or ranch.
For me, my favorite dressing it's like
sugar and fat.
undefeated, is Thousand Island. I just love it so much.
Ew.
I mean, like, I like it on French fries. I like it on salads. I'll dip hamburger in it. Like if I'm having a cheeseburger.
That's gross.
I love Thousand Island.
Listen, I love it for you, but
like when I go to Red Robin, I have them bring me.
I just see like you dipping a burger into this pink goop, and
it's not pink. It's like
it's
like
it's not pink sauce.
Color, like orangish. No, it's not pink sauce. No,
bro, that was like a wild moment in internet history.
Yeah,
somebody really was just out here selling. I mean, we can't say it's Pepto-Bismol because we don't know, but she was really just out here selling like Ivan Ooze out here. Yeah. Like people, nobody had any idea what was in it.
Really buying it,
bro. Like, spending real American dollars on something, and you have no idea what's in it.
I'm not gonna hold you.
You would have bought some?
No, I would not have bought some. Just
you would have tried it if somebody else bought it though. No, you wouldn't have.
Like
you wouldn't
if
duck
I
your
was
finger
at
in
her
there.
house and she had it like fresh, because you know that the main problem with it was the fact that it was going bad and like people would get it.
Bro,
and, like,
no, the main problem is we don't know what's in it.
Yeah, but so, what I'm saying is, if I was at her house and
when she made it,
and she's eating it on French fries and stuff, I probably would have tried it because honestly, it's probably like a ketchup based. She put some nonsense in it.
Absolutely not.
But would I buy that? Elliot, you know how I am with money.
True. Who's my money? American dollars?
The idea of me pressing purchase on something called pink sauce. Like this, like straight up out of like Good Burger or something.
Yeah, no. I mean,
more power to her if you want to. She didn't know what the FDA was. She was like, "I don't sell drugs. Why do I need to be FDA approved?"
That's the part that was killing me because I was like, "Bro, the first letter is food.
No,
that's why.
The first letter stands for fentanyl."
No, it doesn't. That's not what it stands for.
No,
if it did, maybe they get a better handle on that. But you know,
I doubt it.
Yeah, there's too much money not to.
But anyway, all right. So let's talk about daylight savings for a little bit,
bruh.
Now,
talk to me.
I love the cold. I love the winter.
Uh-huh.
I'm a November baby. I love when it gets cold. I like hot chocolate. Christmas is my favorite gift.
Listen,
don't make me get all snoopy.
But it's cuddle season. That's why I like it.
I like it because I get to wear my sweaters.
Yeah.
And a big guy with a nice sweatshirt.
Listen.
And some Jordans on. It doesn't get better than that. But anyway.
True. That's what I like to be.
Do not like this getting dark early nonsense. And honestly, I don't know anyone that does.
I mean,
I guess it's like for some
I don't care because I don't like going outside. So
there's a lot of things outside. I like going out there.
Hey, you're right. There are lots of
things
out there.
My brother like to be able to see, and like when daylight savings rolls around, and
my brother likes to be seen. Because can't nobody see me when it's nighttime.
Daylight savings rolls around, and it's literally dark outside. And you can't see anything. And it's like 5:30. That's not the wave. So
true.
We were talking earlier about the Congress actually potentially changing the laws so that we don't go through the daylight savings time.
Yeah. So, if we don't have daylight savings, it would get dark early. Because at that point, it would just get dark whenever it gets dark. If we have daylight savings,
we would be permanently in the summertime hours. We wouldn't lose that hour and spring backwards or
I mean,
no, what is it? Fall
backwards, spring forwards.
So we wouldn't be going backwards.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But you're saying that in this time of year, it would still technically get dark earlier than in the spring. Yes. But I guess it would be like this, right? So right now it's 7:30 and it's mostly dark.
Yeah.
Rather than be almost 9:00 like the beginning of the summer and it's dark. So what is your opinion on that? And tell me what you think about that.
So here are some of the problems, okay? So the original reasons for daylight savings, as I understand them, is it had a lot more to do with like farming and outlets and working hours and that sort of thing. In the age of everything being open 24 hours in our country, and having you say in most countries, but really I think it's
in tourist areas. Let's do it like that.
In tourist areas it's like that, but it's like that for us.
Yeah.
But in most other countries, after like 9:30, 10 o'clock, everybody goes home. So that was one of the things when I was traveling, when I was overseas and stuff, like that was very weird to see like Everything is shut down. 9:30. Like if you didn't get it before 9, you don't get it today. It's not that serious. So like in other places, that's kind of how, because nobody wants to be working after 9:30. Like I want to be home with my family just like you do. So, but like in our country, like we don't have that culture here. Like nah, it's open. Everybody's up super late or whatever. So I don't see a need for it. But
the need would be us trying to retain those hours of daylight. Now, you know that scientifically...
For what purpose, though?
So that you're, scientifically it's been proven that daylight savings, when we go into getting dark earlier, people have worse health outcomes, there's seasonal depression, things like that.
Okay.
And so
when you say...
What?
Nah, keep going.
Okay, so a lot of those... I think that would improve on people's moods. I think that would improve on productivity, because I know when I remember being in high school and when the time would switch and it would start getting dark super early, we'd be ready to go to bed super early.
Okay, but wait.
To me, I feel like if we use that extra hour of daylight, I know from my own personal self, I would be more prone to get more things done rather than that entire hour of daylight, we're still in the bed.
Okay, but I think the way I would quibble with you saying an extra hour of daylight, because substantially you're not getting more daylight. Like the days are as long as they're gonna be. What you're getting is like it's daylight time at 7 instead of it being daylight time at 6.
Exactly, more daylight.
Nah.
No, I'm saying people are more prone to be winding down at that hour.
Yeah.
Rather than pushing the time into that. I think it would be better.
Why not just keep everything where the day is at the whatever the latest point is right now? So if it's summertime, when we have the daylight be extended towards night, like that's the time all year.
Elliot, that's yes.
Okay, maybe we're talking past each other. I still think we need to get rid of the switch. That's the problem that I have.
We need to get rid of the switch and keep it in the summertime hours.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Okay, so we're on the same page.
Yeah, of course.
Good. All right. Argument one.
That's where we started.
So back to you know that the Senate passed it, right? And it's wildly popular actually on the right and the left in America.
Of course.
But of course
nobody cares about daylight savings.
Yeah. Except for the House. Because it has stalled out in the House of Representatives and
you know why that is. Nancy Pelosi doesn't want to vote on anything because she don't want to vote on that bill about not making no more money from stocks. That's what it is.
Yeah, she is.
She's
you see, she's like she's muddying the waters with
bro. She don't went full Matrix, bro. She just out here bent over backwards, dodging bullets left and right, trying not to talk about not putting that bill on the docket.
For those who don't know, what he's referring to is there is a major push for Congress people, senators, and members of the House of Representatives to not be able to trade individual stocks because the companies that they're trading on in the stock market, they are responsible for regulating those companies.
And they're affecting the markets.
And
so they can be like, we got
they have these meetings where they know about subsidies that a company is going to get, or they know about legislation that's going to change the amount of money a company can make. They know about things like the coronavirus is coming, and it's going to destroy an entire industry.
Sometimes it don't even have to be even that direct. Sometimes it's just having a meeting about Facebook is going to affect Facebook's valuation.
Right.
Having a meeting about Twitter is going to affect their stock. So you don't even necessarily have to change anything. You just know we're getting ready to have a meeting about it. And so like once it's on the calendar, we can start, we can start.
I'm going to buy up some stock.
Yeah. And see what it do. And then I'm going to sell it. So, and stuff like that is super,
honestly, that's the major reason why the senators in Georgia last time around, that was partially why they lost, because they were doing major, ridiculously like out there insider trade, like Kelly Loeffler. Like they're like, oh, was I just in a meeting about this company and then I dumped the stocks like the same day? What a coincidence!
Yeah, those two things couldn't have anything to do with each other. But I mean, like this is right now, like is the time where everybody is kind of like, we're just corrupt out and out. And maybe it's an effect of like Trump being who Trump was and doing all his dirt out in the open like he was.
Well, I think it's partially that, but at the same time, you got to remember a lot of these things, the push was there. It's just that I think the quote unquote respective institutions was broken down by Trump. Because this is not the first time somebody said that they shouldn't be trading stocks.
No,
it's just that I really do think that this is an age of outsiders, and I think that things are slowly changing. And so Nancy Pelosi wouldn't have got this pushback, let's say 12 years ago, 8 years ago.
I don't know if I agree with that, because I think 8 years, 12 years ago, there was an attitude by a lot of politicians at the time that, like, hey, listen, if you're gonna do this sort of stuff, you gotta kind of keep it on a hush hush. Like, there was a respectability politic going on.
Well, yes,
and I think everybody has just gotten so comfortable with, like, oh nah, like, this is just what we do. Yeah. Like,
but at the same time, you're saying that it was on the hush hush, but I think it's, yes, they wouldn't discuss it, but at the same time, no, because a big part of their argument of why they feel like they should be able to do it is because they put out the stock trades that they're doing.
Well, only reason, but I think that's an evolution, right? So 12 years ago, they were on the hush hush, and they've just slowly started being more transparent because they kept getting caught up. So they got caught doing this, and they're like, okay. And then
they would do those inquiries on themselves.
Right.
So members of Congress are going to investigate a member of Congress. Be like, you know what? We find that you did nothing wrong.
Yeah.
Back to Congress.
And the problem is they always do it bipartisan, which means they get the exact number of people so that nothing ever happens.
Right. That's the reason why, we talked before about having a constitutional amendment. They're never going to regulate themselves.
Nah, of course not.
They're never, ever going to pass a law. Like, well, I don't want to say never.
They might.
They're very unlikely.
Anything could happen.
With the current group of people in Congress, they're not going to do that.
Well,
so as time goes on,
as
generational changes happen, maybe we will get to a point where enough people are like, this is kind of out of control. Honestly, it's the same thing with the student debt conversation.
Yeah.
You're not going to get substantial free college student debt forgiveness like work done until you get people in there that didn't pay for their college education with 2 mules and a bag of cow manure.
Facts. I mean, and I think the other thing that that worries me is, like, I hear you on the generational change, but I think unless people stop perpetuating this attitude of, oh, I gotta get mine, I suffered all those years to under the system, so now it's my turn.
That's a hard thing
to
get rid of, because honestly, Ellie, you can make that argument about any change. So because X, Y, and Z happened to me,
like, now other people
should also have to suffer, which makes no
those
sense.
People who are like, oh, well, I had to do it. That mentality is like, it makes no sense.
If you live like that,
right,
you will never improve anything.
That's what I'm saying.
Because, I mean, imagine if the slave said that. Or imagine if the sharecropper said that.
Imagine if your parents said that.
Yeah.
Hey, you're not good enough to do anything but what I would do. We would rightly say that, hey, bro, that's abusive. Your child can do whatever they decide to do as long as they put in the time, energy, and effort to achieve whatever their goals are. We pigeonhole them.
We lived under a monarch with no taxation, without representation. So what makes you think you should be free?
Right. What's so special about you?
Yeah. You guys should also suffer. Because we see a better system, but because we didn't get it, you
can't have it.
Like, it's an argument of, I don't want to call it jealousy, because it seems
spite.
Too simplistic.
It's spite.
Yeah, and it's also unnuanced in your desire for a better future. Yeah. So you say, well, you want people to work hard, you want people to have this and that, but I hate those conversations because they don't, like, okay, let's go with the example we're using, the college debt.
Mm-hmm.
They never control or the cost of college for those people in the past.
No.
So the main people fighting against it are people saying 2 different arguments. One is, oh, well, what about the parents that already pay for their kids or pay for their own education or whatever?
They had the money to afford it. That's why they pay for it.
And then you have on the other side, you have the people saying, like, it's your debt, you should not go and get your arts degree.
Basically, you shouldn't have taken out the loan if you didn't want to pay it back.
Right.
And I think the problem with that argument is anti-capitalist at its core. Okay, because those same people don't make that argument when Donald Trump goes out and goes bankrupt and starts a new business. They don't say, oh, well, he shouldn't have started that new business if he couldn't afford to pay all the people that work for him.
Right.
They say stuff like, oh, well, that's just good business. That's just what you do. If I buy a company and I can't actually afford to run the company and I just want to gut the company, pull everything out of it, make as much money as I can, and then cause the company to crash. Oh, well, that's just good business. Like, we don't hold like wealthy people to any of the same rules that we try to hold poor people to, and it's very weird. Like, it's weird to me.
It is a right wing, like, engineered situation, because like I was listening to a debate today Sam Cedar had with the Libertarian where they were talking about student debt. That was the whole debate, and a lot of what he was talking about in the debate with this guy, very good debate.
What was the other guy's name? Sam Cedar and
I'd have to look it up.
Nah, don't worry about it. It's fine.
And I'll give it to you later.
Okay.
But a lot of what the guy was saying was, I shouldn't have to pay for you and your family to go to school. And so he was like, okay,
you're paying for us not to go to school though.
Right. And so then he picked apart his argument by one asking, okay, how do you feel about grade school? And he's like, oh no, that should be subsidized by the state. He's like, okay, so what makes you draw the distinction? Oh, because, you can't exploit other groups. But in every business situation, when a person is making money, when a person is getting something out of it, another group is also putting into it.
Right.
So he brought up the example of a rich person who owns a business, right? And so he's like, this guy, he said, okay, give me a business. And he's like a guy that sells chicken wings, and he creates a chicken wing company and sells millions of dollars worth of buffalo sauces for his buffalo wings.
Sure.
And he's like, okay, now, isn't he driving those buffalo sauces on public roads that all of us paid for? Isn't he having his workers, and in most cases in this country, exploiting those workers to make all of the millions of dollars you're talking about? And then he takes those millions of dollars and then he gives them to his children, and he's fighting to in the estate tax, which so another topic to talk about with this is the idea of your financing for school is based on your parents' money, which that is like my biggest.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't understand. Before we can even really get into that, the problem is school should not be what it is right now.
Yeah, like it should be a business. It's the same. It should be a public good. Now, if you want to go to a private school,
that's a different conversation. We could set private schools to the side because honestly, and that's the crazy thing. So like VCU is a perfect example of like I really like VCU. I'm not trying to throw shade. Okay, anybody? I went to VCU, but it's a good microcosm of the problem with like a lot of public institutions that end up going like in this for-profit direction, because a lot of the like fluff that you get at going to VCU has nothing to do with your education. Some of it doesn't even help your education. Like they're erecting all of these amazing, beautiful, wonderful buildings that cost millions and millions of dollars that are not actually helping anybody graduate from college. So when you're spending all of this money on beautification, when you're spending all this money on stadiums, you're spending all this money on advertising, like these things are not genuine. They're not actually helping your student population continue to grow and educate or expand their minds or any of that stuff.
They're making money for the institution.
Well, and they're
some of them are.
Some of them are making money for the institution, but a lot of times the institutions aren't even making money. What they're doing is they're finding ways to extract money for whatever pet projects they have or whatever people they know, so that they can hire people. Because a lot of times when you start digging into it, the people who get the contracts for these new buildings end up being like people that know people. And I think like the whole Brett Favre situation, like it looked so bad because it was so egregious, and they were stealing the money from the welfare fund, and they were just not paying anybody who applied for the welfare fund, they were just not fixing any of their problems with their water. So like it's so bad that it's unexcusable. But like if you take a step back and you just look at how things tend to get done, like it's not unique, because what happened in Jackson is the same thing that happened in Flint. And I'm trying to understand how many times we got to see people do that over and over and over again.
Right now.
They're doing it right now.
With their water is happening. That report just came out, I think it was last week, about
is it Lori Lightfoot in Chicago?
It was like 70% higher, like I think it's
lead
lead levels
yeah.
in their pipes than it's
And
supposed to be.
so,
Like,
and there are studies that show that high amounts of lead cause all kinds of birth defects, and more importantly, they cause like a general heightened aggression in a populace.
I've seen.
So
yes,
to me,
more violence,
more violence,
all types of stuff. Yeah,
like I don't understand why there isn't more of a push to like try and investigate if there's a link to like lead in the water. So like one of the conversations that I really want to have is like all of these places, all of these quote unquote ghettos where you got all of this violence and nobody can figure out why it's so hyper violent, particularly in black communities. Maybe there's some tie-in with like this lead in the water stuff, and obviously
it's no maybe. I definitely think
it's probably
even
a contributing
I'm not
factor
saying that that's
because
like the
it's
main
like
factor.
that on top of like historical poverty in that area,
Yeah.
on top of
That definitely plays a role.
yeah. So like, and this is that's always the problem is like there are so many pieces to a lot of these issues that like you can't. There's no silver bullet. There's no one size fits all thing.
So I think. Okay, because he touched on a lot of things there. I'm going to try to just hit one or two of them. But, yes, I do think that the lead in the water does affect that aggression and things like that. As far as the Mississippi thing with Brett Favre, what makes it so egregious, Mississippi is one of the poorest states in the country. And they have a record, a habit of not paying out benefits to people. They are one of the states that declined the Obamacare expansion.
Yeah, like I remember that being a thing.
They spend their, and that's the Republicans in a lot of ways. Even at the national level, they do the same thing where they talk populist, and then their goal is tax cuts for the wealthy and figuring out how to cut programs for the poor. So,
and they always do it in the guise of like, oh, we need to lower the amount of money we collect in taxes,
and not just lower the amount of money they're collecting. They also tell the Republican voters like, yo, the Democrats are trying to give all your money to poor, let's keep it real, black people and immigrants.
Yeah, and they're not even the majority of the people who get it.
And these poor people that need this money aren't getting it. I saw a thing today. It was like some ridiculous amount of people.
It was like 95%
applied for
and got denied.
Yeah, it got denied.
And after they actually looked at the information, they were like, "Oh, this person definitely should have been qualified. Why did you deny them?" And they can't give a good answer at all.
Yeah, and they denied them because they were too busy giving their money to Brett Favre.
Of course. I mean, it is
unbelievable. A guy that has all of that money.
It's not right.
It's not unbelievable at all.
To me,
it's
like
wrong.
That's the saddest part. Is like I heard that story and I was like, yeah,
that's believable.
Yeah. Like at this point, like it's like a Family Guy skit where like they just say something ridiculous and you're like, yeah, that checks out.
Yeah, I mean it's the same thing with Trump, right?
True.
So every time I hear a new story about Trump or
I'm
whatever,
like, yeah, he might have did it.
That's believable.
Somebody,
like when I heard the story about how during January 6th he was like trying to reach up and grab the steering wheel and all that other craziness.
Yeah, he might have done
totally sounds like something to do.
He might have done it.
But
I need some evidence. Like we're not gonna convict on that. Like I don't want no consequences.
The evidence I needed was when she came out and said all those things. Then the Secret Service is like, she's lying. We're willing to talk on the record. Like
and then none of them came and talked on the record.
Say that she lied.
And
one of the guys retired.
Immediately. He was like, oh, it's a wrap for me.
He was going to talk on the record about how she was lying, and he retired and left.
Yeah. I mean, but I think one of the interesting things about the whole January 6th debacle is when you, like, break it all down, like, the majority of the problem isn't that January 6th happened. It's that you had so many politicians that were trying to make it okay that it happened. Because I think if they had all of those riots happening and you didn't have all these politicians co-signing it, like it wasn't crazy and abnormal and something like that shouldn't have happened, I think everybody would have been a little less taken aback by it.
They should have impeached Donald Trump that night. That's what they should have done. They went to impeach him. And the reason I say that is because he basically riled that insurrection up.
Of course.
And pushed them to do what they did. And actually, his plan, even though according to the Secret Service, And according to the testimonies on the committee, the January 6th committee, his plan was to be standing in front of those people, trying to basically say, "Come on, let's go inside."
But the Secret Service literally kept him from being able to do that.
To the White House.
Well, and that's the
I'm glad he didn't do that because one, to be honest, he might have got hurt, and I imagine what they would have done if he would have got hurt.
I mean, got hurt by who? His people?
Elliot, who knows?
Well,
according to him, all those people out there were Antifa. So, I mean, what would they have done to him?
True. And he would have been like, no, they tried to do me like they did JFK. One of the Secret Service shot me. Because that's what he would say.
I mean, but they're saying that it's so funny. So they're saying on the one hand, no, it's all Antifa people in the left that was out there saying, hang Mike Pence and we want to stop the count and Donald Trump is president. Right. But at the same time, they're defending Antifa for being mistreated in prison in D.C. because they're getting too much time.
Yeah, bro.
So,
it can't make sense because it doesn't make sense. I mean, this is just like Tommy Loren saying, "Oh well, if Trump doesn't win, we'll be at home because we don't riot."
Yeah, right.
So
yeah,
and this is one of those things. Like, I get really annoyed sometimes when I hear people like try and split left and right and say, "Oh well, the right only does this or the left only does this," because there is some both sides. It's just different. Yeah. So
and just because both sides
do something
does not mean
that we should
equally do it.
Right. So because there are dumb things that are happening.
There are people on the right,
yes,
that say things and do things that are wrong, and there are people on the left that do the same thing.
Yes,
but is it the exact same?
No.
Right. So I think
that we have different struggles. It's just like white people and black people.
Unnuanced conversations,
bro,
drive me nuts.
Yeah, because if you can't speak to the actual reality of the situation, which is messy and it's complicated and there's like mitigating factors, if you can't like dissect it and think about it in an abstract way and try and get, okay, this piece is over here and this piece is over here, like it makes it so much harder to get to a solution. Because one of the things that really frustrates me sometimes, people's like, oh, all we need to do is XYZ. And then when you start drilling down on whatever that solution is, you start running into all these problems. And that doesn't mean that the solution is wrong. And like a lot of people get mad, like the whole Obamacare debate really frustrates me because the whole problem with Obamacare was that nobody was actually trying to fix it. Everybody was either trying to keep it exactly like it was or destroy it entirely. They could have just fixed it. They could have just addressed the couple of things in it that were really hurting people still. The fact that the marketplace is like astronomically priced, like that's fixable. You just need to put a public option in there. We didn't put it in at first.
No, I'm telling you. We're going to have to discuss a public option and a universal. I'm out of the public option.
Here's the thing, okay? I understand why you're out, but you're out because of the climate that we're in.
No, I'm out because of you.
Really?
You convinced me to be out on the public option.
What did I say that convinced you to be out?
You explained to me, and this is the same thing that Bernie talks about. Mm-hmm. You explained to me that what's going to happen is private companies are going to push poor people and more sick people.
That's true.
Onto the public plan.
True.
What is that going to do? That's going to make the public plan overburdened with people that cannot afford to, you'll have this was going to happen. You'll have a public plan that's going to pay out more than the average private plan, right?
Yes.
So people that are sickly, people that actually are using up all the care are going to be on that.
Yes.
So what that's going to do is that's going to overburden the public plan, which is going to make it easier for the right and the right wing of the Democrats
to attack
to say, look at all this money that we're spending on all these poor people that need the care, all these sick people that are now poor that need the care.
Yeah.
They're taking out more than we're putting in.
Sure.
So when you look at a universal plan where everyone's in there, it's kind of like taxes where everyone puts in and everyone takes out. But when you have all of the people taking the majority out, and you got people like me and you that are healthy that don't go to the doctor that often, we're in the private plan.
Here's the problem, okay? And this is the half of that argument that I didn't have when we probably talked about this, and I convinced you that was the answer. Yes, the first people that are going to get on the public option are going to be the people who need it the most and can't afford the health care in the system that we have. Right. But what will happen is if those people actually get fairly positive outcomes with...
You think everybody will just follow?
People, because who wants to go through the hassle of dealing with regular healthcare policies? Like dealing with Blue Cross /Anthem Moderna / whoever owns it now because they all conglomerated. Like nobody wants to actually deal with these companies because they're horrible.
Well, so what'll happen is that the public option will lead to basically a moderately single payer situation. Almost single payer.
Let me give you an example. I'm gonna take it away from healthcare and then I'm gonna bring it back. Okay, when you go to Walmart, right, and you see Frosted Flakes, and then you see whatever the Sam's Choice brand Frosted Flakes are. If they taste close enough together, like Frosted Flakes might be a bad example because store brand Frosted Flakes tend to be bad. But like store brand Fruit Loops, okay? Store brand Fruity Pebbles is a perfect example because I've never tasted a store brand Fruity Pebbles that didn't taste exactly like regular Fruity Pebbles, okay? If you know the store brand is just as good or like 95% as good, then you'll just buy the store brand. And what happens is all the other cereals start to come down a little bit. They don't come down a lot. They're still more expensive, but they can't jack the price up to $10 a box when you got a $4 bag of cereal sitting right next to it because nobody's ever going to buy that $10 box of cereal.
Now, okay.
There are exceptions.
Let me sprinkle a little salt on that. Okay. I do hear you. But one, you don't have to get cereal where you have to have health care. Two, we're not trying to just get the price of all the healthcare insurance companies down.
It's not just about the price.
What we're trying to do in that example is we're trying to create a situation where everyone gets the one type of cereal we all eat.
Okay. No, that's your goal. But the problem is, I don't think you'll ever be able to get a consensus that is the solution. And I think that's where you're always going to run into the problem with like eliminating all healthcare. Because some people genuinely believe that you need a marketplace, no matter like who owns it. If there's only one entity running it, it'll never be good.
Okay.
And there's
I can't let you. I can't.
No.
We're not
wait a minute. You need to
listen
to what I'm saying.
I know, but
you have to take that back.
We're not eliminating all
You're
healthcare.
not listening to what I'm saying. I don't have to take it back because what I said was if you take away multiple sources of the payment processing of whatever kind, the service will get worse because there's a service part of having some kind of healthcare payment option, right? So when you go to the hospital, even if you have a public option, like the hospital now has to contend with, okay, how are we paying for this? And you have to fill out forms and blah, blah, blah. If you don't have this version and this version and this version all competing to innovate and improve and adjust, what you get is one version where you have one top-down system where they say this is how we're going to do it because we think this is the most efficient way, and a lot of those things tend to be attrition. So you need multiple entities all trying to come up with the best version so that you continue to have new ideas implemented. Because when you think about the DMV, a lot of problems that DMV traditionally has aren't because DMV is inherently bad, because some states have really good DMVs. The problem is in that state, they only have their DMV. So like Virginia DMV might have some things that are really good, but New York DMV has some things that are really good. Virginia DMV isn't actually taking those ideas and implementing them like because they have to. They might do it because you get a really good DMV director, but like there's no pressure on them to actually innovate and continue to improve. But we have the exact reverse problem right now because all of the existing health insurance companies just collude on everything. Right. So they don't have any incentive either to innovate. So the reason I think you need a public option is because you won't ever get enough buy-in from people that you'll have one sole provider that'll actually be able to continue to innovate as everybody wants them to. So you need one.
I do understand that.
You need one group to put pressure on the existing market to continue to be in a proper market. And I think like every single industry that has like huge problems is because they've all decided to collude in the background and nobody is actually trying to keep them from doing that. And there's no pressure.
You know what? Another industry that is doing that is definitely the travel industry.
Of course.
Airlines.
Yeah.
They all get together. They create new fees. They create new nonsense.
And they do it at the same time.
They screw us as a group.
Bro.
They don't screw us individually. They screw us together.
Right, collectively. They want to make sure everybody's getting it.
I do understand. So the argument that you're making as far as if you have a public option, rather than just one system straight up.
Yeah.
You're saying the public option will also be in the marketplace, just like the Blue Cross Blue Shield.
Yes.
But the problem that I guess that I have with that is I do agree with you. They would technically be forced to try to innovate, to compete. But compete, yes. Compete, no. Because they wouldn't need people to sign up like Blue Cross Blue Shield does. They wouldn't have to market to us like them. But at the same time,
yeah, but they should.
The only thing that I would say about that is the in-network, out-of-network situation.
Well, but
that's the biggest problem you're going to have. Because how many doctors are going to not accept it?
Here's the thing, okay?
That's the problem that I have.
And this is where good governance comes in, okay? Mm-hmm. Because the idea is you make a public option that's so good, is so lean, is so efficient, that other doctors are going to be like, listen, I know you got Blue Cross Blue Shield, but have you considered this public option? Because we actually prefer it because it's so good. But you have to actually go at it. When you make a public option, you can't let it be this thing where we water it down until to the point where it's unusable. And like that's the problem we tend to have with government. It's that we allow the government to get watered down to the point where it's unusable, and then everybody points at it and says, see how bad government is at doing anything.
That's exactly right.
So if you get a public option pass, you can't let it pass as garbage. You have to fight and fight and fight for a good public option. And I think this is true. If like I had a magic wand, I wouldn't make everything, like I probably wouldn't go full socialist, because I think full socialist has the same problems that full capitalist does. I think a blend is like really important.
Yeah,
but
of course.
The airlines is a perfect example. If there was a publicly funded, publicly ran airline company that all they did was just run super efficient flights at reasonable prices and didn't try and nickel and dime you for bags, the other airlines would have to get on board. They wouldn't have a choice, because that publicly run airline would become solvent very quickly, and then they would eat up all the other business because nobody would want to deal with the BS that the other airlines are colluding to do. Same thing with cell phones. Mm-hmm. Like the fact that Verizon can just throttle your service whenever they decide to, just not provide you internet. Like if you have an option where they don't get to do that, if everybody isn't doing if it's not a race to the bottom scenario, all of a sudden capitalism is back in play. And I think that's where we have a problem, is that capitalism isn't really working again, like it's supposed to.
This goes back to the main issue, and I want to end on this. So the main issue, as always, you're talking about a situation where our politicians would have to allow that to happen because they are paid to protect their donors. So in the scenario of the phone companies or the airlines, if you introduced United States Airlines, which is a public airline company that sells a flight that Delta and United and Southwest are charging you $250 for that one ticket, and United States Airlines is charging you $100. Are they going to allow that, or are the lobbyists going to go into DC and try to create new rules?
So, we had an argument.
It's the same thing with the private prisons.
True, but we had an argument before where I was like, "Listen, I don't think you can get these things done at the federal level. I think you have to start local or start at the state level." To me, the airline problem, or even the healthcare problem specifically, like that could be a state program if.
Yeah, California's been trying to do that.
And that's what I'm saying.
And
but
the whole awesome, not gonna lie.
The whole reason they haven't been able to do it is because the lobbying is heavy in California.
Yeah, big time.
So if a state can really get their legislature together and pass something where they have a functional public option for that state, it's gonna change the game. Because now you got a public option that really works, that's really good, that actually is better.
I don't even know if they're doing a public option as far as
I think they were trying to do like full universal healthcare.
Which would be awesome.
Yeah, I mean it would. I think it would be awesome to try it and see what happens.
As financially solvent as California.
Yeah, but the problem with California is they're financially solvent the same way the United States is financially solvent. All of their money is tied up in like 5 places, and then the rest of the state has no money. So
but the state government is wealthy.
Sure,
they probably would jack the taxes up.
But
if they don't have to pay any healthcare costs, I pay a lot of money. Yeah,
but again, the problem ends up being how it gets dispersed, because what I see a lot of times happen is like you have this really good thing, and they're like, okay, PPP loans is a perfect example. So the idea behind the PPP loans was perfect. It was a fantastic idea. But then what they actually ended up doing was they let the banks distribute it. And the banks were like, oh, no, we only giving this to people we want to pay us our money back.
Right.
We only giving this to people we know can afford to pay us. We're not giving it to regular people who aren't going to afford to pay us, who are going to give this money to their employees. Why would we do that? So it's just really important, like, that no matter what these policies are, at the end of the day, we got to get good governance first. Like, we got to get people who are actually in it to try and help, materially improve people's lives. Yep. So, but I think that's a pretty good place to stop. This has been the Pensive Brothers Podcast. I'm Elliot.
This is Aaron.
All right, and we're out.